Hello, thank you for joining us tonight for our Education Placements panel. Tonight we have 3 current Mercy volunteers serving in schools and 1 who is an MVC alumni. So I'm going to have you all start off introducing yourselves. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what you're up to now. Lena, if you'll start us off.
Sure. Hi, my name is Lena Farrell. I served as a Mercy volunteer last year at Cristo Rey High School, Sacramento, but I'm originally from Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Katie?
Hi, my name is Katie. I'm originally from Southern California, and this year I'm serving at Detroit Cristo Rey High School in Detroit, Michigan.
And Travis?
Hi, my name is Travis. I'm originally from Kansas, and I'm serving at St. Boniface School in Cincinnati, Ohio.
And Isaac.
Hi everyone, my name is Isaac. I'm from Los Angeles, California, and I'm serving in San Francisco as a teacher assistant here at ICA Cristo Rey in the Mission District.
Thank you all. And now can you tell us how you came to be a Mercy volunteer? What led you to volunteer where you are now and decide to do a year of service? Katie, if you'll start.
Yeah, so I previously did a year of service last year in Ireland, and I loved doing a year of service. I loved living in community, and I knew I wanted to do another year with another program. I was originally applying for a different organization, but wasn't having great luck. And so I went on Catholic Volunteer Network in like July, being like, okay, I need something. And I came across a few of the MVC postings, and I was like, Detroit, I don't know if I really want to go there. But I ended up emailing, and Andrea responded, and everything just like seemed to work out. And I accepted that I would do MVC in Detroit with about 3 weeks before the move-in date. So it was a little last minute, but it's been worth it so far. It's been great. And yeah, just a lot of like going with my gut. And yeah, I really liked it. Literally the first thing I did when they called me saying, okay, you were in NBC and like, we're going to have you like interview, and like, okay, you can either interview at this place in Baltimore or Detroit. And as a Southern California girl, I was like, the first thing I did was look up the weather. And then I decided to suck up these winters because I really loved the job posting.
And how are you doing with the winters, Katie?
I did some exposure therapy, so I like gradually increased the amount of jackets and scarves I'm wearing. So I'm doing good. It's possible. It's not that bad.
I'm glad to hear it. Travis, how about you?
So I've spent the past 2 years before this serving with AmeriCorps, and I knew I wanted to do another year of service, and I just wasn't quite sure where. So I basically just started Googling around, trying to find different organizations or different options. And I think the thing that really drew me into MVC was just that with AmeriCorps, there's a lot of certain rules just because it's a federal program that you can't really bring your faith into a lot of what you do. And the fact that I could do that with MVC was a really big draw. Trying to think. So I wanted to do another school because that's what I've been doing the past 2 years. And so there's a couple different options. But I wanted to try a new age group. And so St. Boniface is K through 8. And I've never worked with kids below middle school. So that's been a whole new experience with a definite learning curve. But it's been really good. So yeah.
Good. Thanks, Travis. How about you, Isaac?
So in college, I did 2 years of intentional service communities, and then I applied for a service program in Ecuador but with the pandemic, that was canceled, right? So found myself in May thinking, what am I going to do? I know I want to serve, right? And so I went on the Catholic Volunteer Network page, and under urgent opportunities, I remember seeing ICA Cristo Rey right there with a posting for campus ministry and activities coordinator. And I was like, okay, like I've done those things in the past, you know, like I can totally do this. And like researching more into the school, I fell in love with them, and I called Anne, who oversees the West Side Mercy Volunteer Corps volunteers, and it was just an immediate like hug over the phone with her. I knew it was meant to be, and then I applied for Mercy, and now I'm here.
Yay, I love that. Anne does like give hugs over the phone. So comforting. Lena?
Yeah, so I went to Newman University, which is a very small Franciscan school in Aston, Pennsylvania. And I was really involved with campus ministry there. And we've had a lot of students who have gone on after graduating to do a year of service. And so I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew I didn't want to work. I just didn't have a desire to go into the corporate world just yet. And so I knew I wanted to do a year of service, and I actually had my mind set on a different site. I mean, I was so set. I was saying, you know, I'm going here and this is what I'm doing. But I still hadn't had my interview for MVC yet. And I went into the interview just kind of like, I already know where I'm going. Like, this will just be good practice. And I left the interview and I got in the car and I was like, Mom, like, yeah, I'm doing MVC. Like, there's just no question. And I just kind of what Isaac was saying was just that you just feel this instant connection. I mean, I had the opportunity to interview before the pandemic, and so I got to actually have the human interaction with people. And I think I just could feel the care and just the intentionality with the people behind MBC. And then also similar to what Travis was saying, I think the spirituality piece was something that really, really drew me in. And in my interview, so how I chose my site was that in my interview, they asked me where I would want to go. And since I'm from Pennsylvania, I said, I don't want to be in the tri-state area. And they said, how's California? And so I said, sure. And they gave me two choices in California. And I had just gotten done, right? I had just graduated college, and I thought I could make a pretty awesome impact at a high school. And here I am.
Yay. Can you all share what a typical day for you looks like? And maybe with like a particular nod to how COVID has impacted what a typical day for you looks like. Travis, I see you giggling at that one. Do you want to start?
Yeah. So I guess the very first thing we do is we take temperatures of the kids before they get into school. So it's hanging out, getting the kids out of cars and off the buses, getting their temperatures taken, typically handing out like a full box of masks because kids really struggle with remembering masks. After we get through that, we always have late arrivals, so I hang out for a little bit to try and get through them and try and get them processed, I guess. But after that, I actually get to head into the classroom. So depending on the day, it's typically either with our 6th and 7th grade, or I'll be with our 1st and 2nd grade, just depending on the day. And it's just kind of helping out. During those times, they're typically doing either math or science. And so it's a lot of kind of like kid hopping and trying to help out as much as possible to make sure we're staying on track. After that, we have primary recess. So our kindergartners, 1st and 2nd graders get to hop out for a really short recess. So we do that. So it's a lot of, hey, don't touch each other. Hey, quit being so close. Just because of COVID right now, we're trying to keep them spread out, but kindergartners really struggle with that. So we're doing the best we can. And then we hop in the classroom for a little bit longer. And then after that, we have lunch recess. So we hit each of the grades, we'll pop out, and same kind of game, but the older kids are a little bit better about not grouping together and touching each other. So that's kind of good. And then typically I'll hang out with our 5th grade for a little bit while they do math. And then it's a matter of getting ready for the end of the day. So we got to get kids know whether or not they're riding the bus or they're getting picked up. And we got to get our parking lot set up for the parents to come in. And then it's just getting the kids to the right car. So, and then depending on the day, there's 1 or 2 after school programs. We do Big Brothers and Big Sisters. And we also do band once a week. So, yeah.
Thanks, Travis. Isak?
It's awesome that Travis's school is open. Mine is all distance learning right now. So the position was as activities coordinator and campus minister, but because of everything being online, that affects everything, right? Campus ministry has really been more low key. It's mostly just lunch meetings once a week or virtual retreats that we organize. So my responsibilities have taken a shift. I'm actually teaching 3 periods of academic assistance classes online. So that's twice a week. And what it involves is just me being on Zoom with my class of about 10 girls. ICA Cristo Rey is an all-girls school. So we all log in. I have like music playing when they first come in, like a little icebreaker question. And then they fill out this form that I've created where they get to talk about like what's going on in their lives and also what's going on with their grades. Because academic assistance is more of an in-depth study hall. So we've given that to students who are really struggling right now with virtual learning where, you know, it's the lack of motivation to complete work or just the struggle to understand teachers because we're so limited with time. Sometimes teachers don't give that individual attention to students. So I'm there to do that. And on the other days of my week, I get to do my other responsibilities, which include sometimes making videos, so editing them, creating them, or doing a meal distribution for our families. And another thing I do is just outreach to families, you know, just updating parents on how their daughters are doing grade-wise and seeing how we can help their families too. So it's a lot of different things, which keeps the week exciting. But since most of it is through the computer, you know, there is Zoom fatigue, there is like the eye strain, but that is how it is right now.
Yeah, thanks for that perspective, Isak. Lena?
So I think I struggle with what a typical day looks like because as a volunteer, I don't think I had a typical day. I think I got to be wherever, I mean, honestly, I had my like foundational schedule of this is where I need to be when and who I'm going to be working with. But aside from the actual tasks that I was going to be doing, they changed from day to day. And I'm honestly very envious of that now, being in a more of a rigid work schedule. I just loved being able to have the freedom to be with campus ministry one day and then substituting a class the next day and then working with a student one-on-one the next day, or all in one day I got to do that. And I think, yeah, a typical day was just doing whatever needed to be done around the school.
Yeah, thanks, Lena. Katie?
So my position originally was campus ministry and then working at the dean's office. But since we are mostly virtual, we don't have a dean right now. So I work with corporate work study. And so normally, especially with the seniors, part of my day is like monitoring them. So I just like there's a number of students who come in to work from kind of like they have company laptops like with them at school. And so they're like kind of working from home, but they're like working from school. So they're not going to their placement sites. And so I sit there and watch them, and it's been great because that means I'm one of the rare staff members who actually has like consistent contact with students. So It's great. They're very entertaining. They're starting to realize that I can like hear them when they speak. Today, group of senior boys talking about Big Time Rush. It was a time. Did not expect my day to go like that. But on top of that, I do most of my like actual work is for campus ministry. And so I designed a website. So I update that every week. We're trying to get students like start looking at that. I update their service hours. So all of our students to graduate need 40 service hours. So I need to go through and approve them. I also need to inform them about service hour opportunities. So I send out a few emails like once a week being like, hey, here's all this stuff going on that you can get service hours for. I work with 2 other campus ministers, so there's lots of like teamwork, and I may like put together like an agenda or do a slideshow of something that we've figured out all together, which is great. I'm really into teamwork. Every Thursday we do like a staff prayer for racial justice, and that's been really cool to like do different ways of prayer. Some of it's been music, some of it's been more reflective or like prayer services. Did one a few weeks ago that's like looking at religious art, and that was really cool. So like planning that. I'm trying to think what else. I run the Instagram. So we got that started. We don't have many followers, but it's still pretty fun. Yeah, and also one of the other campus ministers is the main IT guy. So if there's something basic IT that needs to be done, like uploading photos or something so that the ID can be printed, then I'll also do a little bit of that. Yeah, and I go to meetings. I'm like the freshman team, so get to meet with other teachers, and it's good. It's fun. There's lots of times where, especially the beginning of the week, is a lot quicker. I have a lot more things to do. So there are times where it's really like productive and like I have a lot on my plate, and other days that are more chill. And there's a lot of young teachers who work at Detroit Christo Rey, and so we get to like kind of like talk with each other and hang out, and that's a good time. Also, something really cool is we have after school not programs, but like service opportunities that we do through campus ministry. There's mat making, so we get all of our like grocery bags, and you can weave them to make mats to give to someone experiencing homelessness. Wednesdays you have immigration justice. Not immigration is Monday. Environmental justice on Wednesdays, and then Thursdays we started this project, and we call it Project Micah, and it's all about service, and like it's obviously all about service, but social awareness and becoming aware of social justice issues in our communities. And we're eventually going to create like an action project to help like fight some of these injustices. And it's really cool. It's I've got on a few tangents, but it's really cool how our campus ministry team is very into faith being backed by action. So that's a really cool thing. It's not just talking the talk, but also walking the walk.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Katie. I'm wondering if each of you could share what's the most rewarding part of the work that you're doing, and maybe a story that can demonstrate that for us. Isak?
I think it's hard for me to just pick one, but the one that I have an example for is how we get to impact change as volunteers, right? Because we're in that sweet spot of not being like an adult teacher, but also not being a high schooler. So I relate more to the students, especially at my school. There's a lot of our student population is first generation. So with myself also being a first generation college grad, like we have that very similar kind of culture and understanding. So with the pandemic, you know, a lot of the work that I've been able to do is surveying our students and asking them like, what do they really like that we do and what can we do better? And I would say that one of the most rewarding moments is that when I get to present that to the faculty, we actually change something. You know, in the beginning, the classes were like really draining for our students. So through the surveys, I got to show the teachers and the whole school that like we need to cut down the time. And so we did, and all the students were really satisfied, and like teachers had to sort of reorganize. But just understanding that like with the pandemic and virtual learning, there's so much new territory that we can explore, right? And that we can change systematic things to actually help our students who have not been helped by the system of education usually, right? So just seeing the newness that comes out of creativity.
Yeah, thank you. Lena?
Yeah, I think I mean, being out of MVC, I definitely have the privilege and honor to be able to see the rewards still continue to grow from seeds that I planted during my year of service. And I think that's pretty cool. But as a Mercy volunteer, I think what was most rewarding about my role at the school was just being able to be a presence to students. And I think looking back, how crucial that is today, you know, with everything going on with COVID, but really how students just needed a person at school that wasn't their teacher, that wasn't a counselor, that wasn't admin, that wasn't the principal, just somebody that was almost a third party, but knew what was going on in the school and knew kind of what the environment was like. And I think being able to realize that power that I had with, wow, my presence really does matter, but it also, you know, makes a difference, and that I can relate to these students and I can be somebody for these students, an advocate for them, a teacher for them, a shoulder to cry on, an ear to listen. And I really can't just pick one. I've had so many students in and out of my office who just share so many beautiful stories. I mean, even now, students just emailing me, thanking me for just being there for them, or emailing me, telling me they got accepted to college. You know, it just is so, you just feel it through the internet and through emails, but it's really not the same as being there in person. And so I think being physically present was something that was super rewarding as a volunteer.
I'm hearing a consistent thread between the two of you so far, of the relationship piece of the work being most rewarding. And I just want to give that a shout out, since that is our goal as Mercy volunteers, is to serve in the spirit of mutuality and with compassion. And I just think that that focus of relationship that you guys have talked about is very much embodying of that. Katie?
Yeah, I'm going to continue on with that. Yeah, it's really nice. Especially it's like I do a lot of like background work of like making PowerPoints and drafting emails. And so the student interaction that I have like is really nice. And we were on like a 2-month break. So like the building was shut for 2 months. And so it's like just as I was starting to get to know the students, like I didn't go in until after Christmas. And so it's really nice in these last few weeks that it's like some of those relationships have started to be more nurtured and continue to develop. Especially like with the seniors, I'll be sitting there working and they'll ask me about college and like, oh, what'd you major in and why? And another student and I were talking about like skincare last week because he found out that I was also really into skincare. And so just having those just like casual connections has like really been rewarding.
Yeah, Thanks, Katie. Glad to see the thread continuing here. Travis?
Don't worry, I'll finish us strong. Well, I think, I mean, obviously the relationship piece is really big. And I think that's one of the things that has been kind of like the defining experience for me over the past couple of years, is that like first couple weeks when I started, it's something where like the kids like don't, like, you're a new person, like typically they know kind of like the teachers or they know other students, and you're just like, in my experience, it's more like just you like pop up one day and you're just kind of there. And so the first couple weeks are always kind of like pretty awkward for me, especially because I'm bad with names. And so learning names is like a huge challenge that the first couple weeks always makes it very apparent. But once you kind of get past those first couple weeks, and especially since a lot of the work that I've done has been more similar to like tutoring stuff, there's always like a couple kids that are the first ones to kind of be like, hey, you look like you might kind of know what's going on. Can you come help me? And then once you're like, I just find that once you can help the first couple kids and the kids start to realize that, oh, hey, they can help me with stuff and I can talk to them about stuff, then it kind of like spirals from there. Once you can get like one or two on board, then it's much easier to get three or four on board. And it's just kind of, I don't know, after that, it's just much easier to build the relationships. And I just find that, especially with tutoring, once you can help them out with homework stuff, it tends to be much easier to move on to like just like what's going on in life, because I realize that you're there to help them. You're not gonna sit there and why can't you do this or stuff that they might hear in other places. And it's more of just like, I'm here to help you. And once you can kind of like build that idea, I don't know, the relationship piece is much easier for me, at least personally, after that.
Yeah, thanks for continuing that thread. It is really rewarding for me to hear that the relationships are such a rewarding piece for you all, and that is life-giving. I think it's that way for a lot of us too, in times of physical distance, that we're able to build connections and relationships across virtually or distantly in person. Can you share how your experience with MVC has impacted where you are now? Lena, I think probably most directly it has impacted where you are. If you'll start on this one.
Yeah, so my service year gave me my first job. So that's where I'm at. But I actually studied healthcare for 2 years in college, and it's also my dream. So education is not where I ever thought I was going to be, and yet here I am. And I think it's just, I learned so much in my year of service, and I learned so much about myself and about really what goes on in education. I think, the filament of like, oh, teachers always have it all together and schools just run seamlessly and it's just amazing, was kind of broken to kind of realize like, whoa, it really takes a lot of power and it takes a lot of brains and eyes to make it all work, and a lot of hands definitely to make it all work as one unit. And I think, yeah, I just learned so much from the people around me. And I think, how could you not, right? You're in a place of learning. So you too just learn so much, but way more about yourself, I feel like, than you do the job. Because I think a lot of what I do, I am taught, right, the job of, okay, this is how you write a report, this is how you track grades, but no one can teach you the compassion piece, and nobody can teach you how to be, just compassionate, be there for somebody, be present. And those are kind of things that I think I got to really hone in on during my year, and that I get to carry forward with me even now.
I love it. I'm so glad. Katie?
Yeah, I have to think about this one. So I think one of the reasons I wanted to do a service year and why this placement site stood out to me is that I am like really interested in campus ministry. I didn't get as much of a chance to participate in high school, but I loved it in college. And so this experience is giving me a chance to like do campus ministry on a staff level, even though it may not be, well, it's not going to be what I never say never do for like the rest of my career. I'm actually going to grad school for international relations. Just haven't decided where. But I know like the lessons I learn of how to like interact with people, especially like during COVID when we're not used to like meeting new people and interacting. So that's gonna be like super helpful. And how to like express what you need to coworkers and people you live with, and just like serving with a smile, even if you're tired or it's really boring data entry and you don't want to do it, but you're going to anyway because that's what you signed up for. So I think just the lessons that I have learned as a Mercy volunteer will continue with me throughout the rest of my career.
Absolutely. Travis?
This is actually one I've been thinking about a bit more recently, just because of some situations we've had at the school. I've known for a couple years here that I want to work with children in some way, whether that be in the education system or in some other way, I guess. I think that just a couple recent experiences we've had have kind of like really helped me kind of like define the limitations of the education system in how much the teachers and the administration can really do to help the kids in a lot of like, whether that be like home life situations or like social situations, I guess. And so that's made me kind of rethink about like what other, like outside of the education system, what other options there are that might be able to be more involved, I guess, in those kinds of situations. But I think that it's also been really good because I didn't go to a Catholic school and I've never worked in one or anything. So it's also been a different experience of just seeing the differences between a public school and a Catholic school and just kind of how that all comes together. And especially a lot of like how all the funding works, and that has been really interesting.
Yeah, thanks for that perspective, Travis, and the shift in your perspective too of the education system. That's really powerful. Isak?
So my year of service helped me discern what I want to do for next year, and that's another year of service. I reapplied for a year in Mercy, but not in my current site. So I'm actually switching fields to healthcare. There's a site in Cincinnati that allows volunteers to be spiritual care companions. And for me, that's really where my heart is. I studied theology in undergrad, so I have been discerning chaplaincy for myself for the past 2 years. And serving here at a high school really helped me to see that. You know, it helped me to realize, as good as I am at this job, it's not what deeply fulfills me. And, you know, at one point, like that almost caused some shame of like, how can I be serving when I'm not really being fulfilled by it as much as I would hope for? But talking about it with my spiritual director and my supervisor helped me realize that it's just realizing where I'm called to be, you know, and in giving myself here, I've learned that like I want to give myself in new ways, and I want to have certain work environments that really can't happen in a high school. And that's just acceptance, right? It's understanding the gifts that come with whatever placement you're in and whatever work you're involved in. But I would say that having this direct experience with education has been eye-opening to understand that, like, as capable as I am to do this, I feel more passionate about serving in another way. And I'll see how next year goes if that's what God has for me.
Yeah, I love that it's not you're growing in the role either way, even if it's not what you anticipated. And I think that's so cool. Or not what you thought this was where it was going to be. Yeah. You know what I'm trying to say. Thanks. So unless we get another another question in our little chat, which to those of you watching, please feel free to send those in the chat so that our volunteers can answer. But my last question for you all is, what advice would you have for someone who is discerning a year of service right now and considering being a Mercy volunteer next year? Katie?
I knew it's going to be first. I don't know, just kind of like listen to your heart and go with your gut. We were tonight, we actually had spirituality night, and we were talking about uncertainty. And just one of the things that we talked about is uncertainty can be scary, but it also means opportunity and possibility. You're not trapped by any parameters. So just embrace that. And if you do decide to do Mercy Volunteer Corps or any other year of service, just like embracing the experience and living in the present. It may not be what you anticipate, but it's still going to be a blessing, and there'll be lots of lessons learned.
Yeah, thank you, Katie. Travis?
I think that, I don't know, I think the big thing that I've learned over the past couple of years is just kind of, you just got to go with the flow, especially dealing with kids and just education in general. It's just that like kids just do the most unexpected things that I just like wouldn't even think about until they actually happen. And just learning how to kind of like just kind of accept what's going on and just working as quickly as you can to fix things if they need to be fixed, or just going with the flow, I guess, is the biggest one. And yeah, that's my big one, I guess.
Yeah, thank you, Travis. Isak?
Two things. The first one, talk to volunteers, right? Like talk to the current people that are serving in the program or alumni. That's what's helped me a lot in my discernment. And then the second thing would be to give yourself time, like in silence. I remember when I was struggling to understand what I should do after my original service plans were canceled, I just like bombarded my mind with noise, to like sort of drown out the pain of having lost that opportunity. But in the silence, that's where I realized like I still want that experience, so I hope that you can also give yourself that and feel what it is that's coming up for you.
Yeah, thank you, Isak. Lena?
I think my first piece of advice is to serve at Cristo Rey High School, Sacramento, shameless plug. And then my second piece of advice is to really learn what discernment is and what the different facets of that are. I think that term definitely gets thrown around, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm discerning a year of service, but I didn't really know that it was not this, okay, if I choose this, then it'll be really good. And if I make this choice, then that's not going to be a good choice. When discernment is really a choice between two goods, and that deciding to do a year of service will be one of the greatest experiences of your life. I'm still in touch with my community. We do a Rose and Thorn every single week, and I have a standing phone call with one of my community members, just because we're very busy. So we knew we had to pencil it in, but it really is just one of the greatest experiences, and it's unlike anything you really will ever experience. But yeah, like everyone has been saying, definitely bring it to God because He knows what the plan is, and His plan is way better than what you could ever think of for yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all of our volunteers and alumni that shared your experiences with MVC in education placements. We are currently accepting applications and will continue to on a rolling basis with an application deadline of April 20th. So if you are interested in any of these placements, please feel free to reach out. We can chat with you more or connect with any of these lovely folks here to talk with you more about what that placement is like or more about what it's like to be a Mercy volunteer. If you have any questions, you can reach us at contact us at mercyvolunteers.org. Take care.